Mr. Mayor, thank you for your time.
Good to be with you.
I want to ask you a couple questions specific to Colorado, but first to something that you said earlier today in Nevada. You criticized Senator Bernie Sanders pretty sharply. A lot of people have said that if the senator is at the top of your ticket, that might hurt other Democrats who are running for office. But you went a step beyond that, and you said that the Democrats need a nominee who actually gives a damn about down-ballot races. You don't think that Senator Sanders cares if other Democrats lose?
Well, what I found is that Senator Sanders and his followers have been very dismissive of the concerns being raised by the exact frontline Democrats who it is imperative that we return to office. We should be listening to what candidates and House members and senators from those areas that are really on the knife edge of whether we win or lose, listen to what they have to say. Because I can tell you there is a lot of concern as I speak to members of the House and Senate in particular, that with Senator Sanders at the top of the ticket, not only will Mitch McConnell tighten his grip on the U.S. Senate, but we could lose ground in the House, and the all-important question of federal judges becomes even more difficult to resolve. So this is really important, and I think we need someone at the top of the ticket who will actively ask those who are in tough races what we can do that could help or hurt them, and pay attention to what they have to say.
Colorado has the 5th lowest unemployment rate in America. President Trump was here this past week talking about 4 more years of jobs. Is it difficult to make the economic argument in a place like this where it doesn't work for everybody, but it works for an awful lot of people?
Well, the issue we're seeing right now is even when you have a job, for far too many Americans, one job is not enough. The president has stood in the way of organized labor. This president has stood in the way of increased minimum wage and wages overall. And so it's nice to have the stock market doing well or the numbers on a page looking good. But we're now living in an economy where increasingly, even those with jobs are not finding that their wages are keeping up with the cost of health care, the cost of saving for retirement, the cost of higher education. We've got to make this an affordable country to live in for everybody. And whether that happens or not depends on who the next president is.
Colorado has one of the lowest vaccination rates in the country. We're having a big debate about this right now. Earlier in this campaign, somebody on your staff said that you supported personal exemptions and then later cleared it up to say that you only support medical exemptions. Can we just get it out of the way now? Do you think that vaccines are safe, and when should parents be allowed to not vaccinate their kids?
I believe that children should be vaccinated because it saves lives. And part of what I try to do as mayor is lead by example. Even create the sometimes awkward spectacle of TV cameras coming to watch me get my flu shot, just to remind everybody that this is not only safe, we have a responsibility to protect our communities. And I support states that are moving in that direction because it's the right thing to do.
You often tout the experience that you gained as mayor of South Bend, Indiana. For some context for Coloradans, that's a city about the size of Longmont, Colorado. The mayor up there, Brian Bagley, he is a really nice guy. I cannot fathom anybody saying that his experience as mayor of Longmont prepared him to be president. How do you convince Americans that you're sufficiently prepared?
Well, there's no office like the presidency. There's also no office like mayor. And when people say, why would a mayor from a community that's not one of the largest in the country contemplate this, part of my point is to make sure that we're bringing different voices to Washington. And the experience that I've had, not just turning around a city in the so-called Rust Belt that was described as dying just a decade ago, but also my experience in the military, I believe shapes the perspective that I can bring to the White House while building an administration that will have the experience and the wisdom necessary to turn the page in this country before it's too late.
There are hundreds of thousands of people living in this state who are not in this country legally. Gathered together, they'd be the 4th largest city in Colorado. I hear a lot of candidates talk about who should have a path to citizenship, who should not.
Well, I'm focused on the creation of a path to citizenship for the undocumented who are here, who have been living and working in communities and making a difference, paying taxes, but have no way to get their status cleared up. I think the front of the line is DACA recipients, kids who often only know this country, who are as American as the rest of us, but don't have the documentation to show for it. Also at that front of the line, families who have been separated, who have been harmed by U.S. immigration policy. And we need to make sure that some of those veterans who have been subject to deportation are given the opportunity at citizenship. Surely they have earned it. We do need to prioritize, and I think the priority needs to be those who have been in communities, who have been making a difference, and those that I just described.
Is a violent crime conviction a disqualifier for citizenship?
Well, I think a violent crime conviction should be handled by our criminal courts. We keep trying to push this into an immigration conversation, but this is something that needs to be handled criminally. And we shouldn't have 30 years pass, or almost 40, between the last time we had a real reform and the moment we know needs to come, and come quickly, so that we can bring people out of the shadows.
One last question for you. A young man named Zachary came out to you at your event tonight. Your campaign has already made history, breaking barriers for LGBT Americans. You would think that would be something that would be universally celebrated, at least by Democrats, but it has not been. I see the vitriol directed at your campaign by supporters of other campaigns and so forth. Have we missed an opportunity to celebrate history regardless of whether or not somebody personally supports you?
Well, I would hope that nobody would support me or oppose me strictly because of my identity, but I am moved by the stories of people, whether it's young people letting me know that this campaign helped them come to terms with who they are, know that they have nothing to be ashamed of, and step forward. And people my parents' age who let me know that they never could have imagined a day like this coming. It's certainly one of the things that has been most inspiring for me about our own supporters, and something that I know will be a contribution that this campaign is making before we even know where the nomination process will lead.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Same here. Good to be with you.
Thank you.